It appears that Cam Jurgens has pretty much locked up the starting spot at right guard, so it's a good time to review what he put on tape in 2022 to see what kind of player he will be for the Birds next season. You can't talk about Cam Jurgens' game without mentioning how quick he is off the ball, and as a slightly undersized player, that will be a big factor in his success. I went into more detail about first steps in a previous video, so I won't spend too much time on that here, but understand that Cam has extremely quick feet that allow him to win by getting into good body position early in the rep. Getting into his blocks quickly helps to negate the size and strength advantages that opposing defensive linemen have over Jurgens. Cam's quick feet not only help him get into good positions early in the play, but it also serves him well when getting to the second level. Take this play against the Giants for instance. He is able to help secure the first level defender by playing along with his right hand. He keeps his shoulders square and eyes up so that he can react to the second level movement. Once he recognizes that the linebacker is coming downhill fast, Cam is able to accelerate quickly to get just enough of the linebacker to spring this run for a touchdown. Jurgens showed off his athleticism in the open field in the preseason last year, and that athleticism should allow the Eagles to be creative with their play designs. I would imagine that we'll see some plays where both Jurgens and Kelsey pull at the same time. The Eagles ranked 12th in screen attempts last year, and while I'm not sure they're going to significantly increase their screen usage, having a guy like Cam in the lineup should certainly help maintain, if not elevate, their efficiency in that area. Either way, I expect the Eagles will be creative finding ways to get Jurgens to the second level, because he will be a weapon in open space, much like Kelsey is. Failing to do so would be a waste of Cam's talents. His nimble feet also show up when he needs to recover. Take this play against the Steelers for example. Initially, he turns his shoulders and opens up too quickly in his pass set. His hips are pointed to the back corner of the end zone, which is not great because the Steelers are running a stunt with the tackle looping back inside. But Cam has great awareness, realizing that the Steelers are running a stunt even with his head turned away from the action. In one smooth motion, he flips his hips and gets his body into position to stop the looping tackle from getting a hit on the quarterback. Not many players can transition like that so easily. Now, as a smaller guard, he can't afford to play with bad leverage, but Cam constantly plays with good pad level and power angles. It's rare to find plays where Jurgens isn't playing with a lower pad level than the man he is blocking. Low man wins is one of the most basic principles in football, and Cam puts that on display consistently. He shows good mobility in his ankles, knees, and hips that allow him to get into good positions to utilize his power angles. Check out my previous video on unlocking the power angles for a more in-depth look on what power angles are. Cam does a great job snapping his hips into contact that allows him to generate power and finish blocks. And speaking of finishing blocks, you can't break down Cam's game without also mentioning his tenacity to finish blocks. While putting a defender into the ground is usually what people talk about when finishing blocks, there is more to it than that. Finishing means playing through the whistle. It means once attached to the defender that you're driving your legs until the play is over. If the defender sheds you, then you work to get back attached to the block. Many players will get into good initial body position and lean on the defender until the play is over, but Cam is always working. He keeps his legs moving, constantly works to refit his hands when necessary, and wants to drive you down the field until the whistle blows. Fans will learn to love Cam not only for his athleticism in the open field, but his workman-like mentality when it comes to finishing the play. Cam also plays with good hand usage, utilizing underhooks to further help establish leverage. He plays with tight elbows, allowing for better posture and strength through contact. He also displays a strong grip, which helps him stay connected to defenders as he works to finish blocks. I know a lot of people are concerned about Cam's size, especially playing next to Kelsey, but here's what Jeff Stoutland had to say about Jurgens in a recent interview.
We do what we do, and that position has, there's things that we look for. I call them critical factors. You guys know that. I know he was strong, but I didn't know he was this, because you don't see it when you're playing center. You're sometimes uncovered. Now he's covered. I'm impressed with the power and the strength of Cam. Very, very strong in here, core.
We've been able to see Cam's strength on display during several of the plays we've already seen, but what I want to show is this play against the Giants. Ultimately, if you had to grade this play for Cam, it would be a negative, as Cam loses his leverage when the defensive tackle locks out. But we can see some of his physical traits on display. Notice during contact that Cam loses his base. A good base will be wide, with the feet outside of the knees and knees outside of the hips. During contact, Cam steps underneath himself with his right foot, losing his base. Without that base, when the defensive tackle locks out, he's able to knock Cam off balance for a moment. With one foot in the ground, Cam is able to use his core strength to maintain his balance and posture and get back into the block. Though gap scheme runs typically aren't designed to cut back, if the running back were to bend this run back, Cam is in a position to wash the defensive tackle down the line. This may seem like an insignificant play, but but it's just a clue into the type of athlete that Cam Jurgens is. It's important for a player to have that baseline strength, and this is why Stout referred to it as a critical factor. Every player, no matter how good, will find themselves in bad positions at some point. What's important to know is, do they have the foundational strength and athleticism to overcome this? We've seen it for years in the battles between Fletch and Zach Martin. There's been times where Fletch gets the best of Zach, but there's also times where Fletch has a strong initial move that gets Zach off balance, but then Zach uses that core strength to reestablish his base and re-engage on the block. That's what makes the greats great. They're not just good on plays where their technique is good and everything works out for them. They're able to recover and make plays even when they're in bad positions. That's what Stout sees in Jurgens. In regards to the passing game, Jurgens most often played in blowouts or in goal line packages, so he only had 9 total reps in pass protection as a rookie. There aren't a lot of NFL reps to judge him based on, but those same traits we've already spoken about translate to the passing game as well. His ability to play with quick feet should help him when using jump sets and also when he needs to redirect and mirror pass rushers. His ability to play with leverage and use his power angles should allow him to negate rushes from bigger, stronger players. And he has the feet and core strength needed to recover. The Eagles do happen to have the luxury of a good offensive line with 4 guys they can leave on an island. So if Cam is struggling in pass protection early, they can figure out ways to get him some extra help. But I don't think it will be a huge issue. Word out of training camp is that he is holding his own consistently in pass protection, both in team drills and in one-on-one situations. However, his film wasn't perfect. There are areas to improve. Take this play against the Titans, for example. Cam is playing in a right tackle alignment, so this position is a little foreign to him, but this is something he should still be aware of. On Cam's side of the line, there are 5 defenders for the 4 gaps available. The 5th defender is a safety just off the screen. With 5 defenders for 4 gaps, Jurgens should be aware that there's likely to be some type of line movement. As the ball is snapped, the defensive end and outside linebacker slant into the gaps to their right. Cam is a bit too eager to seal that outside linebacker, so he turns his shoulders right away, allowing the outside linebacker a lane to get inside. Cam hooks the defender and is really lucky he doesn't get called for holding. When we rewind this play and watch Isaac Seumalo next to him, he is aware of the fact that the line is likely stunting in some direction due to the 5 defenders for 4 gaps. Instead of turning his shoulders, he shuffles down the line of scrimmage with the shoulders still squared to the line. He's in a much better position to make the block on the defensive tackle as he slants inside. On a different play against the Titans, the Eagles called a counter run play. This time Cam needs to execute a back block on the backside 3 technique. This is an important block to make, as allowing penetration will kill the play. Cam knows this, and knows that he has a lot of ground to cover to prevent penetration from the defensive tackle. He wants to get out of his stance quickly, but the problem is that the defensive tackle is slanting inside. Cam should have been able to read the body language of the defensive tackle. His shoulders and toes are pointed inside. An even bigger indicator is the direction that the defensive tackle's shins are pointing. It would be difficult for the defensive tackle to penetrate upfield quickly when his shins are pointing inside. The defender would have to pivot on his toes to get upfield, leading to a slower get off. Cam ultimately ends up overrunning this block, but if he had been aware of the clues that the defensive tackle was giving, that he was going to slant inside, then he could have changed his departure angle and speed. Compare this play against the Steelers. The play call and situation are very similar, except now the defensive tackle is giving the body language that he's going to be attacking upfield instead of slanting inside. This is where Cam should know that he's going to have to get off the ball quickly in order to prevent penetration upfield. In the end, against the Titans, Cam overshooting on the back block didn't really matter as there was a lot of traffic inside. But these plays are just some indicators and reminders of the mental side of the game that young players still need to catch up on. That's completely understandable, especially for a player that has only played offensive line for 4 seasons. But he's being taught by one of the best offensive line coaches of all time, and Stout has said that Cam is a guy that speaks up when he has questions. Cam's athletic profile, tenacity, and eagerness to learn are a great combination to have, and I have no doubt that the Eagles offense won't miss a beat with Cam in the lineup.